morning. Is going to be 7:05. Please be on time. Today's learning is for the success of an anonymous sponsor. Any other sponsorships, please contact Rabbi Babayev. In the halachot that we've been discussing, there's a case that the Gemara brings down, Shulchan Aruch brings down, of something that's far more extreme. If a person owns a business and by not employing it on Shabbat, he might come to a serious financial loss, and he could actually lose his whole profitability of the business, and the business could go under. So it's a significant financial loss. If said merubeh, the Chachamim were concerned in the other direction. Sometimes you find, now you have to be very careful with this, the Chachamim have to make this assessment, and these places where they make such an assessment, it's recorded in Halacha, but sometimes the Chachamim say, it's better to go ahead and let someone do a lighter prohibition in a guided fashion that we're going to permit, as opposed to not permitting it, and then he might do a more serious prohibition. So, for example, in this case, if we say, no, you're not allowed to do this, he's going to straight up hire a goy to work on Shabbat because it's going to be a very serious financial loss, or at least there's a concern. A person might come to do that. On the other hand, we can make it permitted. We're the Chachamim, the authorities of the times of the Gemara. They can make it permitted under very specific guidelines where, since Amirah Legoy is not a Torah violation, it's a rabbinic violation, so the rabbinic violation could be suspended under certain circumstances. So what's an example? There's two examples of a case. One is that you give the Goy a percentage in the profits, kabranut, for, let's say, in the Gemara's time, there was collecting taxes. And that would be given out to contracts. They would give contracts to, let's say, a Jew bought the contract from the government in order to be able to collect the taxes, and then he would make a nice profit off of it. But if he's not collecting on Shabbat, so he loses big time. He loses a whole 20% of his business. So one of the things that they would design, the Chachamim said, listen, you could tell a goy, even though in general this would be totally prohibited, to tell a goy to take Shabbat on himself, and for every $100 he collects, he'll get $10. So why is that prohibited in general? Because you're telling the goy, I want you to work on Shabbat. I'm doing the rest of the week, you're working on Shabbat. And therefore the goy is not like he's a partner with the Jew, he's just making profits off what he collects. But the Chachamim, in ifsed merubeh, in very serious financial losses, they said, you know what, it's better we do that. We allow him to do that way, because if you don't allow him that way, he might end up doing it in a way that's even worse and more prohibited, and something that would be asur on a much higher level. But again, these cases, that's just one example. There's another example where you basically rent the business to the goy for Shabbatot, and the goy now is like officially the owner for all the Shabbatot of the year. He pays whatever amount to the Jew, and then the goy takes the job on Shabbat. That's another mechanism. These mechanisms do exist even today, but they have to be done under qualified guidance and under a Rav, and they definitely should not be relied on just for, okay, I'm going to make a few more bucks, and my business is going to be able to grow, and then I'll be able to give tzedakah, and then I'll be able to do a lot more. If it's just for making profit, that's not really what it's meant for, and it shouldn't be used for that. But if the business is going to suffer, it's going to be at a loss, it's going to go into debt, it's going to be bankrupt, things like that, where there's a serious and a heavy financial loss, then it's into the Rav's discretion if it's worthwhile. In some cases, even still, it shouldn't be done, because if it's going to create a problem for the entire community, that one person has this, now everybody's going to want it, it might not be worth it, even if on the individual level it might be kedai, because a Rav certainly has to make a calculation on a city level, and therefore needs to be left in the discretion of the big Rabbanim of the city, if this is something that is possible for the individual to do or to not do. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen.